Hello, friend. I want to do a quick little update since I made the last video, and I talked about using a planner to help me write what I want, throwing reason out because I wrote this in my planner. Because this is a direct quote from Edward Art. Give up reason. Reason is everything that gets in the way of your wish fulfilled. Yeah. So, I'm not giving myself any reasons to, that will get in the way of my wish fulfilled. And I gotta say, it's working, and it's working quickly. And, I'm not surprised. I don't ever really feel like I'm surprised by this anymore, but more often I just feel like, what took me so long? Why was I making it so hard on myself when I didn't have to? Well, I mean, obviously I must have needed to, or I wouldn't have. But it's all good because I am giving myself what I want. I'm focused on what I want. And I have to say, this week has been really lovely. Excuse me, really lovely. My partner and I went to therapy on Monday. We were with our therapist for 3.5 hours, which was a lot, but it was wonderful. I think we both came away with a better understanding of each other and of what we want, right? So there was a lot. It was a lot to process. Excuse me. But we had a lovely evening on Tuesday. We had a lovely meal together. Sorry, my throat's trying to cut out. And we had a lovely dinner this evening as well. And it just feels like there's nothing to focus on unnecessarily. And I will admit that especially today, I really had some very clear gleanings, revelations, if you will, as to, maybe things that I was doing that were not helpful. I'm really seeing it more clearly, and I want to say a lot of that has been as a direct result to listening to a lady on YouTube named Margarita Nazarenko. I'm going to put a link of her video I listened to today that was I loved it. I thought, she really is talking about law of assumption with different aspects of a relationship. But one of the things that's really helped me is for me to see what I'm not giving to myself. And so even though labels can be labely, it's been helpful to me to learn about attachment, styles, and to recognize in ways where I'm securely attached and then ways where I'm anxiously attached. And my partner sees that too in himself. So we were discussing that a little bit this evening. And I feel like it's not important to get caught up in the label of anything, but to utilize the information so that you can move forward and you can build a healthy relationship with yourself, because going forward, that's the only relationship that matters first and foremost, because all other relationships are going to stem from that one relationship. So if we look at it from a law of assumption view, right, what you give to yourself, the world will mirror back to you. And it's true. I mean, if you look back in some of my videos over the last 6 years, or, well, I don't think I've been doing it for 6 years, but I've brought a lot of what has been going on in my life in the last 6 years into what I talk about. It's, you know, when it just all became so overwhelming and a lot that I was processing, I definitely have talked about it, and most of it has been unwanted, or me trying to figure out what to do with it, utilizing the law of assumption tools that Art and others have talked about. And at times I have done phenomenal. You know, I've really made a lot of progress in my own life and my own well-being utilizing the law of assumption. But it's inevitable, you know, that at times you will build a momentum and then you'll hit a wall, because something will come up that needs to be tended to, because it's just, well, for better, you know, way to put it, I've avoided it. And we all have things within ourselves that we avoid, and that at some point it either gets to the point where it has to be dealt with, or it alters you in a way where you're not living the life that you really want for yourself. And that has its own effects that are usually not ideal, right? So I started, well, I have my, this, because this is where I'm putting, when I know exactly what I want, I'm putting that in this planner, because it's it's a year to plan what I want, how I want my life to look, and how I want to, you know, see things develop, right, for myself. But I also have this little journal. I got it at Target. It was like $5. It's super lovely, and it's just simple, you know. It's like, it's got lines in it. But I thought, what I'm doing in this is I'm writing down truths, and what I'm mirroring to myself, or what I want to see mirrored to myself. So that means I'm basically, you know, exploring and writing out what I want to give to myself so that it will be mirrored back to me. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? That's why I was doing it. And so I kind of made a list of what I want mirrored back to me. And then I've just written down some things that feel like truths, like I can only look to myself for all that I want. I am in a committed relationship with my inner being. And then I go on to say, what does that look like? What do I want mirrored to me in a partner? Because when I'm talking about a partner, I'm talking about myself as a partner. So what I'm giving to myself is what I want my outer world partner to mirror back to me. But that means I have to mirror what I want to my inner being so that it feels my commitment and my love and my appreciation and all those kinds of things, so that I can change myself. If that makes sense. And let's see. There was something I wanted to write. I read to you. But I wrote a bunch of stuff today. I'm interested in my inner being. Mirror your love back to me. Or mirror, and then I changed it from that to mirror my love for you back to me, so I can know and be aware of what I need to give more or less to myself. So what I meant by that, if that didn't feel clear, when something comes up and somebody outside of myself is mirroring something unwanted to me, I'm taking a step back and not reacting, not having, like, I'm going to have feelings, because I'm going to have feelings about stuff, but what I'm going to do with those feelings is I'm going to use them to my advantage. I'm going to use them as an indicator of something that is being mirrored back to me that feels unwanted, or doesn't, on some shape or form, doesn't feel optimal. That's my opportunity. That's my invitation to me, to my own awareness, to say, how am I giving this to myself? Because this is what's being mirrored back to me. What am I doing that is creating this interaction that does not feel wanted? So a lot of times, things like this kind of happen on a subconscious level. And if you know anything about attachment styles, or if you have been delving into any of that kind of information, these attachment styles they tend to happen from ages 0 to 3. Like you're very young when you develop these attachment styles, and they are almost exclusively dependent upon your caregiver and the experiences that you have with your primary caregiver. So these are things that you aren't technically responsible for creating in your experience, but on another level, it's probably something that we signed up for so that we could become more consciously aware and build a stronger, more loving, more deeply fulfilling relationship with ourselves, with our inner being, because that is the truth of who we are. And we're here having these interesting experiences in the physical, where it seems like things in the outer world have their own reality and rules that everybody kind of engages by and with, and how we just are trained, and how we are taught, and how we learn to do things and abide by a lot of those kinds of rules that are societal, or peer enforced or parentally enforced or, things like that. So all this to say, I recognize a lot of my own subconscious ways that I have just lived, and kind of not being aware of why I was responding or reacting the way I was, or why I felt anxious, or why would I people please, or why would I feel like I needed validation from someone else other than myself, right? I should be validating myself. My inner being should receive all my love, and I should be validating my own existence, because I'm valuable, and I am valued by just by being here, and just by the beingness of being. I have value. So, but many times through these kind of woundings from attachment styles, it can be challenging to figure out why things are the way they are. And so I do find information from different sources to help me help myself. So obviously, a very large part of the last few years has been Edward Art's teachings with the law of assumption. It's been greatly helpful and very valuable to me. And then now, more recently, I have really had to dive into my own inner, stuff, because of what my partner and I were mirroring back to each other. Almost identical stuff. But we kind of hit a wall, and it was just more toxic in our verbal exchanges and how we were feeling. And I knew that it was not going to get better if I didn't kind of make a choice to do something really different. And which is why I'm here at Peace Mountain, taking time to kind of sort things out and give myself space and grace, and to take care of myself, and to give myself what I need and what I want, because at some point I really lost sight of things. And so just from without getting into too much, my partner acts like an avoidant and I act anxious around him. We both feel more secure when we're not bringing that kind of energy at each other. So this is an opportunity for him and I to take time to figure out some of those dynamics, and we are. And that's something I'm really incredibly grateful about, because you don't have control over another person per se. I just know that his heart is very precious to me, and I only want good things for him. And so I decided that the way to give good things to us and to him was to give them to myself. And that sounds really counterintuitive to someone like me, because I tend to give a lot of myself to my loved ones, and I will, that can leave a person feeling really drained and resentful if it feels like the emotion of that energy isn't being reciprocated. And I recognize that now, how I was setting those dynamics up because of what I was giving to myself. Because it really had a lot less to do with my partner or anything outside of me, and it really had more to do with me and what I was giving to myself. And so all that to say, it really, it's incredibly important to make time for yourself, to build a relationship with yourself. That's not something that I ever actively focused on. I would do things, I was a doer, right? But I wasn't necessarily taking that energy and then really going within and saying, what do you need? How can I serve you? How can I show up and be present with you? Instead of holding on to a bunch of subconscious programming that was kind of keeping my wheels spinning in place, and I was having a struggle with the traction of any forward momentum. So I would see some things moving forward, but ultimately I was feeling a lot of emotional lack. And I can look at myself now and I can say, I did that. I was not showing up for myself. How can anyone show up for me? Because everything I'm giving to myself is going to be mirrored back to me. So, of course, my partner struggled to show up in ways that I thought I, kind of like expected even or needed. But I wasn't doing that for myself either. So it's it's just interesting that when you kind of ask the universe for help, and you ask your inner being to show you where are you missing the mark, and what can you do to be receptive to the truth, and can you be willing to receive the information so that you can give yourself what you need. Those are all really important communications to have with yourself. And so, yeah, I think I realized how much I wasn't having really deep, meaningful conversations with my inner being, with myself, with, the most important, most precious relationship that I have available to me that can change the entire trajectory of my experience here. It all begins with what I'm giving to myself. And so I think when people in the past have asked me, how to have a relationship with their inner being, I was struggling with that a lot too. But now it feels more like that inner being that feels kind of like, what is that? what does that mean? It's the core truth of you. And so many people, myself included, I was looking for connection and communication and validation through outside of me interactions. That is a lot to put onto another person, especially when you can't control other people in that outer world kind of way. That doesn't work. I mean, you and I both know that, right? But when we go within ourselves and we really become more and more aware of our own inner relationship with ourself, and we start changing that to one that goes from being dismissive, avoidant, disordered, unloving, thoughtless, unkind, critical, angry, I mean, just all those kinds of things. And we change that and we give ourselves what we want to have coming back to us, which is grace and appreciation and patience and thoughtfulness and caring and adoration, right? I have a list of them that I wrote right off the bat, commitment, respect, trust, trust, loyalty, accountability, adventure, compassion, fun, faith, balance, radiance, abundance, internal well-being, creative, joy, success, vision. Like, these are all things that if we want that mirrored back to us from people outside of ourselves, from the world that we're living in, those are the things that you have to give to your inner being, because you're building that relationship with your inner being first and foremost. Then your inner being can start reflecting that back to you. It's giving you everything you're giving to it. And if you're not giving it respect and love and adoration and, kindness and thoughtfulness and all these lovely things, it shouldn't come as a surprise when you start feeling angry and wounded and hurt that those things are, that other people are giving you something other than what you want. It's because what you're wanting, you're not giving to yourself. So yeah, that to me, that's been the biggest revelation that I'm receiving, and allowing myself to rebuild and repair. To rebuild and repair the relationship with myself, because how can I assume that which I want to be if I'm not doing anything about it, if I'm not changing self so that that will be my experience, and that will be reflected back to me. This world is perfect just the way it is. There's nothing to fix, and there's nothing to change in the outer world. The only thing worth changing is what you are giving to yourself on the inner. The only thing to fix is your own misperceptions, your own thoughtlessness of how you are interacting and being present with yourself. Because mostly it's a state of presence. If you are not being present with your inner being, then it's going to show up, and it's going to be harsh, and it's not going to feel good. And I think a lot of times it's really easy to get caught up in the eddy, the swirling water of the misperceptions of the emotions, the emotional self. And if you can take a step back, because feeling is key, but your feelings are not supposed to run the show if you're being a toxic partner to yourself. Your feelings are key because they're an indicator of what you're giving to yourself. And you know that by how it feels. That's why feeling is key. If you feel bad, chances are really, really good that you're giving that to yourself in some way. And I'm not saying it to be like blaming or, you big stupid, you're doing it all, la la la. No, it's more like there are things that you've probably not been aware of, just like how I was not aware of the things that I was giving to myself that was causing me so much pain. And then I started being open and allowing myself to receive information that would help me. And it's interesting because I get guided to things. I don't even have to try. Excuse me. I don't have to try. I just have to be willing. I'm telling you, that's why that video that I made about a willing heart, that matters. If you have a willing heart and you just want to understand and you want to be giving to yourself everything that you want to receive, you just have to be willing to receive that. If you just say out loud, I'm willing, help me figure this out, help me understand, help me find my way, your inner being is listening. And it is holding you with so much love, even though you've held your inner being in bondage because of the things that you were doing, even if you didn't know you were doing it, even if it was happening on a more subtle level and you weren't even consciously aware of it. You can find information that will help you grow, help you find your way. My voice is really, I've had a little thing for the last 4 days, so my voice is a little tired, but I just wanted to let you know it matters. You matter. And the energy that you give to yourself is the most potent and valuable energy that you can give towards what your precious heart needs to find your way, so that you're not in pain, so that you're not suffering. If you want your life to change, there's nothing to change but the self. The inner being can change everything for you in the blink of an eye, the moment you have a willing heart. A willing heart. And you just declare it. You just declare out loud that you're ready and that you're willing. And I'm telling you, things happen. Things will happen that will just, you'll be astounded. You really will. And then the more that happens, the less you'll be astounded, and you'll just be like, wow, I'm not surprised. This is really, it's awesome. And so the astounded feeling will just be replaced by appreciation and gratitude for how it works when you're in the flow, right? And it is effortless, and it is easy, and it is fun once you give that to yourself. So this is my really quick update that things are going really, really well, and that I'm appreciative of your presence here with me, with yourself, and that there's nothing more important than your precious heart. So keep giving yourself what you want, and do not think that you can't have what you want, because you can. You just have to throw reason out, right? Because that's the thing that sprinkles the seeds of doubt everywhere and muddies up the water. Just start laying it out, what it is that you want, and start building that into the relationship that you want to have with yourself, with your inner being. And then watch everything begin to change. I'm telling you, just last week, I was really full of feels. And I didn't know what was really going to happen, and I didn't know quite what was going on. And then I made that declaration, and then things immediately started getting better. You just have to be patient with yourself and persist, continue to be showing up every moment with a willing heart, so that you can give yourself everything that you need. It's there for you. It's all inside of you. It's all right there, right now. You don't have to go anywhere searching for it. And you don't have to go to anybody searching for it. It is all right here in you, right now, at this very, very moment. Just have to say, I'm willing. I'm receptive. I'm got nothing else to lose. Like, just go for it. And you can do it, friend. And till we talk again, much love.